Hi there and welcome to Juicy Celeb Talks. Dr. Phil's recent appearance on The View took an unexpected turn, transforming into a heated debate that left Joy Behar visibly unsettled after he systematically dismantled her argument regarding Donald Trump's alleged narcissism. The conversation began when Joy confidently declared that Trump epitomized a textbook narcissist, referencing mental health professionals and even quoting directly from the DSM-5. She listed traits such as an obsession with winning, a need for admiration, and an inability to accept responsibility, all of which she claimed fit Trump perfectly. As expected, the panel, including Whoopi Goldberg, Sunny Hostin, and Ana Navarro, nodded in agreement, wholeheartedly supporting Joy's argument. However, Dr. Phil soon entered the conversation, and the dynamic in the room shifted dramatically. In his calm and methodical manner, he challenged Joy's assertions by distinguishing between narcissistic traits and a full-blown personality disorder. He explained that while many successful leaders, CEOs, politicians, and entrepreneurs exhibit characteristics that may seem narcissistic, it does not necessarily mean they meet the clinical criteria for narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. To illustrate his point, he presented a list from the DSM-5, breaking down each trait and demonstrating how they could be applied to numerous well-known figures, not just Trump. The moment that truly turned the discussion on its head was when Dr. Phil highlighted the dangerous precedent of weaponizing psychology for political purposes. He warned that diagnosing public figures from a distance, without a proper clinical evaluation, was not only irresponsible but could also be misused to unfairly target anyone in public office. He then posed a provocative challenge to Joy and the rest of the panel: if they were willing to scrutinize Trump's personality traits, why stop there? Why not apply the same level of analysis to Joe Biden and other leaders? The room fell silent as Joy, clearly frustrated, attempted to push back, insisting that Trump's behavior went far beyond mere confidence. She argued that his frequent lying, refusal to take accountability, and attacks on critics set him apart. Dr. Phil wasn't finished, however. He questioned whether selective outrage was at play, noting that the media often focuses heavily on Trump's behavior while ignoring similar traits in other politicians. He even suggested that many individuals in Washington, on both sides of the aisle, could be accused of narcissistic tendencies if judged by the same criteria. Then, in an unexpected twist, Dr. Phil turned the discussion inward. He looked directly at the hosts of The View and asked whether they had ever considered how many of those narcissistic traits might apply to their own show. He listed behaviors such as a need for admiration, dismissing opposing viewpoints, dominating conversations, and shutting down dissent. The tension in the studio was palpable as Dr. Phil essentially held up a mirror to the hosts, forcing them to confront their own conduct. Joy, visibly shaken, tried to respond, but before she could, Jeanine Pirro jumped in and steered the discussion in a new direction. She defended Trump, pointing out his history of private philanthropy and arguing that, despite his brash personality, he had helped countless people without seeking recognition. Pirro then compared this to other political figures, questioning whether they had contributed as much while maintaining their polished public images. What had started as a conversation about Trump's personality evolved into a broader discussion about media bias, selective narratives, and the scrutiny applied to public figures. Social media erupted with reactions, with many applauding Dr. Phil for standing his ground and challenging one-sided perspectives. Clips of the exchange quickly went viral, sparking intense debates about whether mainstream media has unfairly targeted Trump while overlooking similar behaviors in other politicians. As the discussion concluded, it was evident that Dr. Phil had left a lasting impression. Joy Behar, known for her quick comebacks, was left struggling to regain control of the conversation. What the hosts of The View had anticipated as a routine Trump-bashing segment turned into a masterclass in critical thinking, courtesy of Dr. Philosophy. The aftermath of Dr. Phil's appearance on The View didn't just spark conversations on social media but also reignited a long-standing debate about the ethics of discussing mental health in the political arena. Many viewers praised Dr. Phil's insistence on maintaining clinical integrity when evaluating public figures, highlighting the dangers of diagnosing someone from afar. His warning about using psychology as a political weapon resonated with audiences who felt that public discourse often crosses into dangerous territory when mental health terms are misapplied or weaponized for partisan purposes. Mental health professionals weighed in on the viral conversation, with several emphasizing the importance of context and personal evaluation before labeling anyone with a personality disorder. One clinical psychologist noted that traits such as confidence, assertiveness, and a desire for recognition can be common among high-achieving individuals but do not automatically signify NPD. It's essential to differentiate between narcissistic tendencies and a diagnosable disorder, the expert explained. Throwing around psychological labels without proper assessment diminishes their meaning and contributes to stigma. Dr. Phil's challenge to the media's perceived bias also struck a chord with viewers who have grown weary of one-sided narratives dominating television and news outlets. By asking why similar scrutiny wasn't applied to other political figures, he highlighted what some believe is an imbalance in how the media covers certain personalities. Critics of mainstream media argue that figures like Joe Biden often receive more lenient coverage, with less emphasis on their potential flaws or controversial behavior. This moment on The View also raised questions about journalistic ethics. Should media outlets be responsible for providing balanced perspectives, even when discussing polarizing figures like Trump? Or is it acceptable for certain programs to cater to specific audiences with clear ideological leanings? These questions became the subject of numerous opinion pieces and social media debates following Dr. Phil's appearance. In a surprising twist, some viewers applauded Dr. Phil not just for defending clinical standards, but also for holding the hosts of The View accountable for their own behavior. His observation about the show's tendency to dominate conversations, dismiss dissenting opinions, and seek constant validation was seen as a bold move that few guests would dare attempt. He basically told them to look in the mirror, one social media user commented. And they didn't know how to handle it. Joy Behar, known for her sharp wit and strong opinions, found herself in unfamiliar territory as she struggled to regain control of the conversation. Her usual confidence seemed shaken as Dr. Phil's pointed remarks lingered in the air. Some speculated that Behar's visible discomfort stemmed from being publicly challenged in a way that rarely happens on the show. Others noted that the segments served as a reminder that even seasoned television hosts can be caught off guard when confronted with uncomfortable truths. Jeanine Pirro's unexpected defense of Trump added yet another layer to the conversation. By highlighting his philanthropic efforts, Pirro sought to paint a more nuanced picture of a figure often characterized solely by his brash public persona. Her comparison between Trump and other politicians raised thought-provoking questions about authenticity and public perception. Are some leaders unfairly vilified while others maintain carefully curated images that shield them from criticism? Pirro's remarks prompted viewers to reconsider the narratives they've been presented with and question whether they've been too quick to judge certain figures. The viral exchange between Dr. Phil, Behar, and Pirro ultimately became a cultural flashpoint, sparking broader conversations about media bias, mental health, and the ethics of public discourse. Clips of the segment circulated across various platforms, with users on both sides of the political spectrum weighing in. Supporters of Dr. Phil praised his refusal to engage in partisan rhetoric, while critics accused him of deflecting from legitimate concerns about Trump's behavior. Despite the divisive nature of the discussion, one thing was clear: Dr. Phil's appearance had struck a nerve. His willingness to challenge the status quo and encourage critical thinking resonated with audiences who felt that mainstream media often lacks nuanced conversations. By shifting the focus from Trump's alleged narcissism to a broader examination of media practices and societal biases, Dr. Phil reminded viewers of the importance of questioning dominant narratives and thinking independently. As conversations around the segment continued, many viewers called for more balanced discussions on shows like The View. Some suggested inviting guests with diverse perspectives to ensure a more comprehensive examination of political and social issues. Others advocated for greater accountability among media figures, urging them to acknowledge their own biases and strive for fairer coverage. In the end, Dr. Phil's appearance on The View was more than just a viral moment, it was a wake-up call. His insistence on maintaining ethical standards in psychological discussions, his challenge to media bias, and his call for self-reflection among the show's hosts left a lasting impact. Whether or not audiences agreed with his views, there was no denying that he had sparked an important conversation about the role of media, the ethics of mental health discourse, and the need for critical thinking in an increasingly polarized world. This exchange also served as a reminder of the power of thoughtful debate. In an era where sensationalism often takes precedence over substance, Dr. Phil's measured and reasoned approach stood out. By refusing to engage in name-calling or partisan bickering, he demonstrated that it's possible to have meaningful conversations even when opinions differ. His ability to remain calm and composed in the face of pushback earned him respect from viewers who valued his commitment to thoughtful dialogue. As viewers reflected on this segment, many expressed hope that it would inspire more thoughtful discussions in the future. "We need more moments like this," one social media user commented. "It's refreshing to see someone challenge the narrative and encourage people to think for themselves." Dr. Phil's appearance on The View may have been unexpected, but its impact was undeniable. By challenging assumptions, encouraging critical thinking, and calling for accountability, he left a lasting impression on viewers and reminded everyone of the importance of thoughtful, balanced discourse in a world that often favors divisive rhetoric. Was Dr. Phil right to call out The View for their selective outrage? Should the media adopt a more balanced approach in their critiques of public figures? Share your thoughts in the comments below.